Good afternoon and welcome. This is Spectrum News at 4. I am Rita Inung coming to you live from Uyo. Let's take a look at the headlines. The Senate seeks to establish autism centers in Abuja, Rivers and others. New service chiefs assume office, vow to fight terrorism, insurgency and others. Plus, Russia strikes Ukraine energy grid, killing 3, including child. Details of these stories and more in a moment. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned. First in the news this afternoon is a report that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the introduction of a 15% ad valorem import duty on petrol and diesel imports into Nigeria. The initiative is aimed at protecting local refineries and stabilizing the downstream market, but it is likely to raise pump prices. In a letter addressed to the Federal Inland Revenue Service and the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, Tinubu directed immediate implementation of the tariff as part of what the government described as a market-responsive import tariff framework. Away from that, the Civil Defense Correctional Fire and Immigration Services Board has released the names of candidates shortlisted for the paramilitary agency's recruitment computer-based exams. This is contained in a statement by the Secretary to the Board, retired Major General Abdul Malik Jubril in Abuja. Reports say the agencies are the Nigerian Correctional Service, the Nigerian Immigration Service, Federal Fire Service, and the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. The statement urged candidates who applied for recruitment into any of the 4 paramilitary agencies to visit its official recruitment portal from today to check if they have been shortlisted. And in the meantime, the federal government has launched the Nigerian Postal Service NIPOST Paystack Customs Duty Payment and its portal for parcels coming into the country from across the world. The Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Dr. Bosun Tijani, launched the portal in his office in Abuja today. He was represented by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Dr. Rafiu Adeladan. The minister said the digitalized payment portal will reduce human-to-human contacts, eliminate delays and inefficiencies within the period of transactions based on global standards and the best of practices. In a separate development, the Senate today began consideration of a bill seeking to establish a national center for autism in 6 zonal centers across the country for research, diagnosis and care. The proposed law, sponsored by Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, Kogi Central, aims to institutionalize early detection and intervention for children and adults with autism while promoting awareness, professional training, and nationwide inclusion. Leading debate on the general principles of the bill titled An Act to Establish the National Center for Autism and 6 Zonal Centers for Autism Diagnosis, Research, Education and Care and 4 related matters, Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan said the initiative was long overdue and critical to Nigeria's social and public health development. She further identified the zones as Kaduna, Bauchi, Enugu, Port Harcourt, Ibadan and Abuja, citing data from the World Health Organization. The lawmaker noted that 1 in every 100 child globally is diagnosed with autism, adding that due to poor awareness and limited diagnostic capacity, Nigeria's true prevalence rate is likely far higher. In a separate development, the Senate has confirmed Bernard Duro as a Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, following a brief screening session that lasted less than 30 minutes. Doro, who becomes the third ministerial nominee from Plateau State, used the opportunity to outline his vision for fostering an inclusive humanitarian ecosystem in the country. He promised to create a humanitarian ecosystem that is inclusive, guided by impartiality and independence. Doro further said during his appearance that they will create synergy between security agencies to better target the individuals affected by crisis, which he notes is always a challenge, adding that technology can play a vital role in achieving this. On security matters, the Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, and 3 other service chiefs today assumed duty at the headquarters of their respective service in Abuja, with a promise to sustain the ongoing fight against terrorism, banditry, and other forms of criminality in the country. The 4 service chiefs were on Wednesday unanimously confirmed by the National Assembly. They are Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede as Chief of Defense Staff, CDS, Major General Waidi Shaibu as Chief of Army Staff, COAS, Rear Admiral Idi Abbas as Chief of Naval Staff, CNS, and Air Vice Marshal Kennedy Aneke as the Chief of Air Staff, CAS. In his farewell address, the immediate past CDS General Christopher Musa urged the officers and the personnel of the Armed Forces of Nigeria to cooperate with the incoming CDS, General Oluyede, in the national interest. And moving now to Africa, where protesters gathered outside London's Downing Street to show solidarity with the people of Sudan as the country's brutal 2-year war enters a new and more dangerous phase. The paramilitary Rapid Support Forces RSF have seized control of the entire Darfur region, including the provincial capital El Fasher, the army's last major stronghold in the west. The fall of El Fasher has fueled fears that Africa's third largest nation could fracture once again. Nearly 15 years after South Sudan gained independence following decades of civil war, demonstrators in London called for international action and a boycott to the United Arab Emirates, which they accused of supplying weapons and support to the RSF. Allegations on the UAE has denied over time. And still in Africa, reports say 2 Senegalese journalists whose newsroom arrest this week sparked outrage in the West African nation had been both freed today. The journalists were detained after conducting separate interviews with press magnate and government critic Madiam Bal Diagne, who lives in France and is subject to a Senegalese arrest warrant over alleged financial irregularities. According to a statement by the Senegalese Press Association, Maimouna Mdofaye, television director, was detained Tuesday evening by gendarmes during the broadcast of her interview with Diagne. And on the foreign scene, U.S. President Donald Trump has said that he has ordered the Pentagon to start nuclear weapons testing to equal China and Russia, just minutes before opening a high-stakes summit with Chinese leader Xi Jinping. The move comes after Russian President Putin said that Moscow had successfully tested a nuclear-capable, nuclear-powered underwater drone in defiance of Washington's warnings. Since 1996, the United States has been a signatory to the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, which bans all atomic test blasts, whether for military or civilian purposes. It was not immediately clear if Trump was referring to testing nuclear warheads, something the United States last did in 1992, or testing weapon systems capable of carrying atomic warheads. And still on the foreign scene, Ukraine officials have said that Russia launched a barrage of drones and missiles at Ukraine's energy infrastructure overnight, forcing nationwide power restrictions and killing 3 people, including a 7-year-old girl. Prime Minister Yulia Sevrendenko accused Moscow of targeting Ukrainian people and power supplies as the cold winter months approached. Russia's defense ministry said its forces launched a strike on Ukrainian military-industrial complex facilities overnight, but denies targeting civilians and has said its strikes are responses to Ukraine's attack on Russian infrastructure. And still to come in the news. Rabat to host Nigeria versus Gabon and other African World Cup playoff games. Stay tuned for details of these stories and more in a moment. Many thanks for staying tuned and welcome back to Spectrum News within the hour. Continuing from the business scene, the World Bank Group says global commodity prices will plunge to their lowest level in 6 years in 2026, marking the fourth consecutive year of decline. In the latest commodity market outlook, prices are forecast to drop by 7% in both 2025 and 2026 due to weak economic growth, a growing oil surplus and policy uncertainty. Although dwindling energy prices are easing global inflation, while lower price of wheat and rice are reducing food costs in some developing countries, commodity prices remain above pre-pandemic levels. According to Bretton Woods Institution report, commodity prices in 2025 and 2026 are projected projected to be 23% and 14% higher, respectively, than in 2019. World Bank's chief economist and senior VP for development economics, Indemit Gill, noted that falling energy prices have contributed to the decline in global consumer price inflation. And still in business, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria has stated that credit to the manufacturing sector decreased by 9.5% to 7.72 trillion naira as of March 2025, down from 8.53 trillion in December 2024, amid a fragile recovery that requires urgent policy intervention to sustain. The association, which released its findings in the third quarter of 2025, Manufacturer CEO's Confidence Index report in Lagos said the decline in credit, high energy cost and foreign exchange liquidity constraints continued, and performance of the real sector despite modest gains in output and business dependence. Director General of MAN, Shegu Ajayi Kadir, says the sector's resilience remained fragile as key constraints persisted. In health, the First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has reaffirmed Nigeria's commitment to ending tuberculosis by 2030 through concrete actions in line with the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. According to a statement issued by her media aide, Busola Kukoyi, the First Lady spoke as the special guest of honor at the 39th Stop TB Partnership Board meeting held in Manila, Philippines. The First Lady explained to the gathering of over 180 participants from 47 countries that Nigeria is strengthening its commitment to reduce reliance on donor funding and build resilient systems to ensure no setbacks, ending tuberculosis by 2030. And still in health, the Castina Sexual Assault Referral Center says it has recorded about 110 cases of sexual assault since its establishment in December 2023. Out of the cases recorded within the period, 60 have been uploaded into the Child Protection Information Management System. The Permanent Secretary, Department of Girl Child Education and Child Development, Aminu Badaru Jikmashi, disclosed this at the opening of a 3-day training in Castina. Reports say the training was organized by the department in collaboration with UNICEF for the stakeholders from Jigawa, Kano and Castina states. To sports news now, where Liverpool crashed out of the League Cup yesterday as Crystal Palace's 3-0 win in the fourth round added to the mounting pressure at Anfield. Ismaila Sarr struck twice in the first half and Yeremy Pino grabbed the third to condemn Arne Slot's side to a 6th defeat in their last 7 games in all competitions. Slot fielded a weakened team as he prioritized Liverpool's crucial games against Aston Villa, Real Madrid and Manchester City over the next 2 weeks. But it was still another embarrassing result for Liverpool, coming hot on the heels of a 3-2 loss at Brentford on Saturday that further dented their spluttering Premier League title defense. Meanwhile, the Reds have lost their last 4 league matches and trail leaders Arsenal by 7 points. And still in sports, Moroccan capital Rabat will host the 2026 Africa World Cup qualifying playoffs involving Cameroon, Democratic Republic of Congo, Gabon and Nigeria. The Confederation of African Football confirmed on Wednesday. Nigeria faces Gabon in the first semi-finals on November 13th in a matchup set to feature 2-star strikers, Turkey-based Victor Osimhen. It would be recalled that Osimhen scored a hat-trick against Benin Republic in the group match this month, helping Nigeria squeeze into the playoffs on goal difference at the expense of Burkina Faso. On our entertainment news, K-pop group New Jeans have lost a legal battle to leave its record label, Adore. A South Korean court ruled that the act's contract with the label, which runs until 2029, remains valid. The group's 5 members, Hani, Yein, Hareni, Danielle and Minji, announced last year that they were unilaterally leaving the agency, citing mistreatment and manipulation. Reports say that Seoul Central District Court rejected New Jeans' argument that the dismissal of former Adore CEO Mi Hee-jin, who was also the group's mentor, constituted a breach of contract. New Jeans alleged that her dismissal broke their trust with the agency. And that's all we have for you on the news at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube